Now then, Tigers, how are we doing? I hope we're all doing well. 2 games remain for Hull City to try and end the season in the top 6 and grab that final playoff spot, because it's going to be one hell of a tricky task after winless in 5 games. We play Charlton Athletic away in a game which is always going to be tough and always going to be tricky to pick out a result, especially with the circumstances of both teams. But it's vital that the Tigers do get 3 points if they truly want that 6th place spot at the end of the season. While it's still technically possible that Norwich City can get the playoffs, they simply have to win both games and hope that Derby, Hull and Wrexham all lose in their last 2 matches of the season, which I think is highly unlikely. Derby are 4 points away from both Hull and Wrexham, and they have the task of beating both Queen's Park Rangers and Sheffield United, which will be 2 tricky matches for them. And while they're still in it, I don't really think they stand as much of a chance compared to Hull and Wrexham. Now for Wrexham, their last 2 matches are against Coventry City and Middlesbrough, which on paper are without a doubt tough. You've got Coventry, who are already promoted, who are champions of the second tier of English football this season, and they're playing a Middlesbrough side who have basically confirmed their place in the playoffs, but still want to make statements to know that they can succeed when it comes to trying to go through to the Premier League via Wembley. Before I talk about our opponents, Hull dropped points in a devastating fashion. Yes, Leicester City did get relegated as we drew 2-2 with the Foxes to send them down to League One, but it really impacted us in not a very beneficial way, since now we're out of the playoffs on the same points as Wrexham, but have a lower goal difference. The first half wasn't too bad, to be fair. The second half was absolutely awful, and it really needs a shine of improvement if we seriously want to be seen as a playoff contender going into the last game of the season. Now for Charlton Athletic, they are technically still in a relegation battle. They're 6 points away from Oxford United in 21st place. And basically, Oxford have to win both of those matches. One being at home to Sheffield Wednesday, which should be a win. Another game, which is the last one, they have to go away to Millwall to pick up points. So realistically for Charlton, I think they're safe regardless, but they're still going to try and get something from this game just to make sure it's confirmed that they are going to stay up for another championship season. And to be honest, I do hope they will, just not to confirm it in this match unless Oxford do bottle it against Sheffield Wednesday. Now for Charlton, they are winless in 7 matches, and the 2 recent games have been, I would argue, quite unfortunate. They drew with Sheffield Wednesday before their Wednesday night match. They lost 2-1 to Ipswich Town, which, to be fair, thinking about it, is not a bad result when you're going up against promotion contenders who really are desperate for that second spot in the championship. Charlton are a team who always put on a fight against any team, regardless if they're at the top end or bottom end of the championship, regardless how good their form is. And really, it's a battle between 2 teams who, of course, want to be back on the win column. But for Hull City, it's more desperately needed because of the fact that we want that 6th place playoff spot so badly, as many people do think we've bottled it after a draw to Leicester City. I've put on the black Hull City shirt just to show how serious I am and how serious the situation is, that we need something. Code black, ladies and gentlemen. It's an emergency that we need to win a game. So before I get into the predicted scoreline, let's go over who I think will start in this game against Charlton in, of course, what's going to be our biggest game of the season. The formation will be a 4-2-3-1. It'll be unchanged in my opinion, and you can't forget Dean Holden is taking charge of this game against his former club, since Sergei Yakirovich received a red card in the match against Leicester City, which I don't really blame him, to be honest, but it's going to be a huge miss in such a crucial match. Starting off in goal, at no surprise, it's going to be Ivo Pandor. They're not going to risk Dylan Phillips going in goal. Pandor's the only trustworthy guy we can don't really have in net, to be honest, in this kind of situation. For both goals we conceded against Leicester City, he's simply not at fault, and I think he actually had a decent performance and made some very crucial saves to actually keep a draw, never mind try and look for a win. I'm really just hoping he can just stay good in goal, make the saves he needs to, claim and collect the balls he needs to, and I can only hope that we keep a clean sheet regardless if we take the lead or not. At right back, it's going to be a question whether it could be either Louis Coyle or Paddy McNair, since a lot of people reacted very horribly to Coyle's performance in that game against Leicester City. The first half he wasn't actually too bad, he really kept Mavididi quiet, but the second half he were awful. He were awful. I don't know what it was. He had no real defensive awareness. He had no awareness when he was on the ball. I'm just not too sure after that match against Leicester if we're going to start him or not. I know he's the captain, but you know there have been some games where we have dropped Coyle because we just know that he simply doesn't show enough quality to the team sometimes. So I think we're going to start Paddy McNair at right back. He won't exactly be a player that's always going to go forward all the time, but when it comes to crossing balls in and having that extra man who can deliver the ball from the right hand side, he will be key. So I do believe Paddy will start at right back. For the centre halves, I can tell you now, I will not be surprised if it's unchanged. I did think maybe Charlie Hughes would start against Leicester City. That's not the case, and I really don't think he's going to start this match either. I think Semi Ajay will be one of the players that starts. I think he was solid against Leicester. I mean, both him and Egan were arguably the players that were actually keeping us alive. I mean, Ajay didn't really have his best game. He really could have been a bit defensively better. But it's one of them really now where, I mean, our two defenders have constantly put on a good shift regardless of the results. And it's just one of them, you don't want to change it and possibly make things even worse. So yeah, I do think Ajay is going to start, and I do think John Egan will start since I have mentioned his name, and for the fact that we just simply will not change our centre-back partnership. As long as Ajay and Egan can keep the attacking players quiet, especially Lyndon Dykes, who I'm expecting is going to start this match, if they can try and be a bit clinical on the attack as well on goal, since Ajay had a great chance with a header and Egan maybe could have won it at the end of the game. But listen, as long as they stay defensively solid and really keep the defence motivated and switched on at all times, because I don't want any players switching off. Let's say if we do go 1-0 up and just think, oh yeah, we can cruise our way to victory, because that's never the case. Then at left back, I do think it is going to be Ryan Giles. I think he was rather quiet, to be fair, in the match against Leicester. And his crosses work great. They work really good deliveries. I'm expecting better when we do go up against Charlton. Hopefully we're going to see some better crosses, and maybe he could grab himself an assist to McBurney, because we're really missing that, well, goal-making partnership. The two central midfielders will be interesting, because the questions will be, will John Lundstram start or not? Or are we going to try and risk Regan Slater to start this game? For those that don't know yet, Amir Hatzimetovic is sadly injured. He's out for the rest of the season, and it looks like he's going to miss the World Cup as well, which is so sad for him, because he's been so good over the course of this championship season. And he does put the work in when it does come to the Bosnia matches as well. Especially when he comes on extra time, he will still put on a shift. So for the central midfielders, I do think it's going to be Matt Crooks. I think he's someone that did perform well, really put in a good job and a good shift against Leicester City. I'm hoping he can do the same. And I think we're going to I was thinking maybe we're going to take a risk of starting Slater, but I think he's going to come on as a sub. I think we're going to start John Lundstram, and I know people don't like that, but that's just what I think is going to happen. He's great when it comes to long balls, but simple passes he can't seem to do. I have no idea how that works. Really, it's all about Lunny not being lazy and going up the pitch where he has to and making sure he tracks back. I know Lunny and Tree are some of the slowest central midfielders, but they've both just got to have that work ethic and work hard to make sure we can try and get the ball when we can and try and retrieve the ball when we can, especially when it is at the middle of the park. At the right wing, I'm going to say Mo Balumi. He did come off at half time. He did feel a bit of a knock on his hamstring. I'm hoping that's something not too major. I wouldn't be surprised if we have Yu Hirakawa or Kyle Joseph that may start on the right hand side instead. But maybe that doesn't seem likely. So I think Baloomi's maybe going to definitely last 45 minutes for this game. It's just hoping he's not going to get another injury that is going to suddenly pick up. He were dangerous against Leicester in the first half, and maybe that's what we were missing in the second half. So hopefully he can do the same against Charlton and just keep that threat going, I guess. In camp, I do think it's going to be Joe Gelhardt. I think he had quite the quiet game against Leicester where he didn't perform as well as he maybe could have. Again, it was one of them. First half, did a rather good job, but in the second half, wasn't as good. I think on the ball he was actually alright. It was more just in general his passing and just tracking back or getting up the pitch when he needed to. He just simply wasn't there, especially when trying to give McBurney some support or some of the wingers some support. There was just no one there, and I think Joffrey could have maybe been that support for a certain player who's on the ball. I hope he can have a good game, and I hope he can make some sort of goal involvement, because I do think there is a Joffrey goal involvement we could see, since I'm pretty sure he did score in the last game against Charlton where we did draw 1-1. On the left wing, I think it's going to be Liam Miller. It has to be, after that performance against Leicester City, arguably his best match of the season. It was a tragic move how he actually took him off, because he was the best player on that pitch. He was causing riots down that left-hand side, grabbed himself both a goal and assist. You could tell he was annoyed when he came off the pitch, and I think he has the right to be, because he knew he could make a continuous impact for the rest of that Leicester match, and the fact he was taken off, in my opinion, was a bad call. I honestly hope they do not start Lewis Kumas, for the love of God. I know they always want to bring him on the pitch much earlier than the likes of you and Joseph. Why? Those two players make a much bigger impact than Lewis Kumas does, so I'm hoping they're not going to make the same mistake there. And then up front, it's going to be Ollie McBurney. He did score, of course, against Leicester in that equalising goal to make it 2-2. I'm hoping he can make more of an impact in this match. He was quite quiet, to be fair, against Leicester City. Never really had much of a chance apart from that goal-scoring opportunity, which he did take because he's such a clinical striker. If we can try and get the ball more to him when he's got a bit of room, bit of space, or just try and play it into him when he's in the box, that would be amazing. If there is a time that Ollie McBurney needs to score, it is now. It is now in this match against Charlton Athletic, and I'm hoping he's going to do so, but You can never be too sure. I mean, he is one that can grab an assist as well, but for our striker, it's all about getting them goals, and I'm hoping he's going to at least score one. So there you go, that is my predicted lineup. There's basically one change. You've got Ivo Panda in goal, you've got Paddy McNair starting at right back instead of Louis Coyle, the centre halves of Semi Ajayi and John Egan, with the left back of Ryan Giles. The two central midfielders, of course, will be Matt Crooks and John Lundstrom. On the right wing will be Mo Balumi, at cam will be Joffrey, at left wing will be Liam Miller, and up front is going to be Ollie McBurney. Now, when I predicted the Leicester one, I was hoping I wasn't going to be correct, and I was. I predicted a 2-2 draw. Start to think I regret that, because all the other predictions have more or less been wrong. And if I'm being completely honest, Charlton are going to be up for this game, knowing the fact that they're still not technically safe yet, even though Oxford have got one hell of a mission to try and go up against a Sheff Wednesday team who aren't actually doing too bad. They're picking up draws, and a Millwall team who are desperate to try and get that top 2 position. For Hull, it's just been that downfall. We're winless in 5. The form's not been great since the return of the international break, and I'm really worried we're not going to get something from this match. It's an early kick-off, which I guess maybe can go one of two ways, but I've no confidence. As I said in the last video, from that reaction to Leicester City, I've got no confidence. I truly do think we could struggle in this match against Charlton. And I'm not going to explain my reasonings for why I'm going to give this prediction, but I just think we may lose 2-1. I think it could be another situation where we either take the lead and end up losing the game, or Charlton may score, we equalise, and we're just not clinical enough, or we just can't find that potential goal that's going to give us the win, and we're simply going to bottle it. You look at the results of the games we've played recently. Oxford, who are down in the relegation zone, who are basically relegated. Leicester City, who are already relegated now, thanks to us, in not the way we wanted it to. Sheffield United and Birmingham City, who have nothing to fight for. We couldn't get anything from those games. And the Coventry match is the only real let-off. And as much as I see that we maybe could have that opportunity of getting something to Nathan Jones's side, I just don't see it happening. I mean, it's not the end of the world, to be honest, if Charlton draw, and they'll be happy with that because it confirms survival. But for us, there's no draws. We need wins. We need wins. I don't care how difficult Wrexham's games are against Coventry and Middlesbrough. I just simply do not have the optimism that we're going to win the match and maybe even draw the match. It's going to be a mission without Sergei Yakirovich, and all fans are simply relying on Dean Holden to try and fill in that position for this match. Folks, hope you enjoyed this video. It may have had a bit of a negative ending, but are you more optimistic than me? Let me know your score predictions. Don't forget to check out the socials in the link in the description, as well as Hoof It Podcast. There are different socials to that. If you want to check them out, just click on any different video from that podcast and you can see the socials in there, link in the description. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and up the Tigers!